Hey, welcome back to EVlander. Today we're having our quote-unquote fire chat. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to answer questions that I've received from all the social media platforms that I have between Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And we're going to see if we can answer some of those questions here. With me today I have my son here. He's got the list of questions. And let's have at it. I want to take the moment to thank everybody for leaving the comments and questions. If you didn't hear a question here that you're interested in, don't forget to leave one below down in the comments. And of course, subscribe. Maybe you'll hear your question in the next video. So why don't we get started? Go ahead.
Frank asked, looks like you also own a traditional ice overlanding vehicle, and it wasn't the Rivian. Was that what got you into starting to do what you do? So I would be very curious to hear from your point of view how the traditional community is reacting to seeing your R1T show up.
Very good question, and you get a nice keen eye there to see my other vehicles. So my first vehicle actually was a black Silverado, but unfortunately that one was not a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive system. It was just a two-wheel drive with a 5.3 liter V8 supercharged. But not going to do exactly what I needed to do. So I ended up selling that vehicle, and what you've seen in the background a couple of times is my 2009 4Runner. That one also has a V8, all-wheel drive, suspension and everything, ready to rock and roll. And that was my go-to off-road camping vehicle for the last 2 years until I picked up this bad boy. Showing up the campsites, I mean, everybody gets pretty excited when they see the R1T. They want to ask questions and take pictures and look inside and everything. So far from what I've seen, the outdoors people who I bump into, it's well received for the R1T, and it's actually pretty exciting. And I look forward to my next trips and meet different people and ask questions, answer questions, and get to know them. Next question.
Jason asked, did you make the pull-out tray yourself? Another video getting into details on that would be appreciated.
I think what he means is the fridge that I have on the tray in the bed. So again, here's this tray. I think the question is focused on the whole thing, but it might be asking about the tray for the fridge itself. Now the tray for the fridge itself, that's where the slides are on, that one can be purchased on Amazon or any various overlanding companies, if you will. This one's kind of a universal one, so a lot of different size fridges can fit on that one. But as far as the whole platform that I have on here, I wanted to come up with a temporary way to mount that fridge to the vehicle and possibly even put some tie-down points on it. So I just came up with this idea in which I have this aluminum plate here that's just about the width of the spare tire door, if you will, right, about an inch or so on each side, and that's mainly so I can have something to grab onto when I clamp it down. And it doesn't go as far as deep, just deep enough for the tray itself, for the actual fridge itself. It doesn't actually go all the way back. And the reason I don't have it go all the way back is because I have the rear wheel that protrudes a little bit more. It's curved in the back, so a couple of various reasons, but I didn't think it was necessary to add much more weight or material back there. And then of course I throw the stickers on here, various different companies I've been using for this build here. So the way it works is that I have these steel clamps kind of bite down on the bottom of the door, and then they bolt up to the top of this aluminum plate. And the idea is that it'll grab the plate and squish it down on the door, so it can maintain its mounting points there. And then I just drilled holes added little rivet nuts to the holes on the plate here. That way I can mount these L tracks there on it. It's been working pretty well. A follow-up question that wasn't asked, but I do get a lot of these questions too, is can I get to the spare tire in here? And the short answer is yes. So what I would have to do, obviously, is remove the fridge here, which just the tray, pull that out, open the tonneau cover so that the tonneau cover is at least halfway back, and that'll give me plenty of space to open it up. So why don't we try that here real quick so you guys can see how that looks like. Okay, so now that I have the fridge removed, and it was just like a normal drawer system where you can push down a little lever and slide the fridge out. Now it's giving me the minimum height that I need to get this open. And you open it just like the same way as you would when you want to get access to the spare tire in the R1. The only difference is the struts for the door, they're calibrated such that they can accommodate the weight of the door, but not with the extra stuff on here. So you're going to have to come on here yourself and lift it up and get it up there yourself. This thing's in the way, so get this up. Now it's not going to stay up. Again, it's not strong enough. So you probably have to get like a stick or something to help prop it, or get someone else to hold the door. But as you can see, I have plenty of space to get that tire out. Even with the crossbars and the tent on here. Obviously, with the crossbars off or the tent off, I just open this door all the way and won't have to worry about it. But when I'm on camping trips and everything, so I can just open up. This is about, I don't know, past quarter way, not really half of the way yet. But it's enough room just to grab in there and muscle that out. And I'm pretty strong. I can get this tire out. It may be a little bit difficult for other people, but I don't have a problem with this. But yeah, I can get the spare tire out. Pretty cool. Why don't you ask the next question?
Zenclimer asks, what is your efficiency with everything installed?
Efficiency. All right, that's a hard question to answer, and the reason because there's a lot of variables involved with that, right? So you have the weight of the vehicle, you have the speed, how fast you're traveling on the highway, what mode you're in, if you're on the highway or if you're actually off-roading in different off-road modes, and you also have weather conditions, such as wind. A couple times we've been out, we've been getting a lot of headwind, and that headwind kills you, especially when you're trying to travel 70, 75 miles per hour to keep up with traffic. So at those cases, the efficiency just tanks, and a lot of it has to do with just that drag and the headwind. But then when I got the tailwind, it was I was getting 3 to 4 miles per kilowatt hours. It was fantastic, and it helped improve the range. So I would say, if you're going to load up the vehicle with a lot of weight, I wouldn't see any range drop, especially in highway driving. I would actually see that if on stop and goes, especially when you're out on the trails and you're slow moving, trying to get over obstacles. The vehicle's going to use a little bit more energy to produce that much torque to get over those obstacles. And if you have that much weight over it, I would expect that to drag you down on the range as the trails are concerned. But on the highway, the weight won't pull that much off of your range as long as you're consistent speed. What's going to kill you is the drag. So, for example, if I have my tent higher than the cab, that's going to produce more drag. So I like to try to keep that just either at the line of the top of the cab or below it. The other one is going to be speed. Now, a lot of us here in the United States, a lot of everybody likes to drive 75, 80 miles per hour. You get there pretty quick, but the problem is the faster you go, the more drag you produce. So I find driving slower at conservative speeds, you'll get your range that you're expecting. Anything more than that, and you're gonna be eating up your range. So what I like to do also is I like to plan my routes, find out where the charges are at, and I can figure out how much range I'm going to use up to get to those points, decide how much charge I need to get, or if I need to get in charge at all. Next question.
Doug asks, are you thinking of adding solar panels?
Solar panels. There's not enough solar panels you can attach to the vehicle to make any significant charge. I mean, when I plug it at home, I'm getting about 22 miles per kilowatt hour. So I mean, that's going to be 7-10 kilowatt hours, which is a lot. You're looking at the amount of solar panels you need to accomplish that. Perhaps if you want to utilize solar panels to drive some of your lower voltage accessories, such as your fridge, maybe you have a power bank or something like that. You can do that, but honestly, that amount of energy being drained from the vehicle when you have it plugged into the accessory ports, so the 120 or 12 volts, it's really insignificant. Unless you're going to be out there for a really long extended period of time, it's not a big deal. I leave my fridge plugged in over a couple of nights of camping. I mean, sure, it takes some from the range, but not that much. If you plan everything well, I wouldn't see a problem with that. Next question.
Residual Reality asked, one thing not discussed that I'm interested in is what you used to mount the traction boards to the roof, and how you utilize the high lift jack.
High lift.
Spelled it wrong.
Oh.
With the unique puck points on the R1T.
Okay, so this two-part question. So start with the traction boards. The traction boards, the ones that I have, can utilize the carriage bolts that I've displayed in some of my videos on the crossbars. So we can talk about a little bit how I mounted that one. As far as the high lift jack though, I would not be able to use the lifting pucks or lifting points underneath the vehicle using the high lift. Everybody, I mean, just the characteristics of the high lift jack wouldn't allow you to do that. Normally you would use like a jack point or perhaps rock sliders, which I don't have yet. But there's adapters you can use on a wheel. Let's see how that looks like. All right, so let's explore the option of how we lift this R1T with a high lift jack. Foremost, you want to be very careful and practice good safety when using a high lift jack. If used improperly, you can either hurt yourself, damage the vehicle. It could be pretty frustrating. So my advice is, if you have a high lift jack or you plan on using one or get one, practice at home. Make sure, one, you're on a flat surface. You don't want the vehicle to roll away from you. So my driveway is kind of tilted there, so I can't do it out there. So it's got to be here in the garage if I'm going to practice. I'm not going to actually raise it here for you, holding the camera up and operating the high lift jack. It's not really practicing good safety, but I'm going to show you how I do this and how this is operated. So what I have here, this is an adapter that's used to lift the vehicle using by the wheels themselves. And the way it works is that you would attach this through here, you pull this bolt here, slide it into the lifting platform here, the bolt, and then insert the bolt and tie it back on. And basically what it's doing is just going to keep this in place, and it's going to distribute the load through here through these straps. Okay, so then what you'll do is you'll come over here, and let's see if I can do this with one hand. Basically, you'll hook on, excuse me for a second, try this out. You hook on this adapter to the wheel as so. This adapter works great for a lot of vehicles, depending on the wheels you have. They're kind of coated on here, but you just gotta make sure you don't gnar up your rims, but they work really well. So you just lift the vehicle. Once you got the vehicle up, let's say that's the tire you want to change. How do you get it out? Simple, my friend. Just have a spare jack that you can use to put that underneath the vehicle, either on those lifting points or on the lower control arm. And what I like to use, I have this portable jack stand here, if you will. Get this other piece out here. It's a two-part system here, so it's got the base. Stick that bad boy on there, and then you can raise it up, use the pin to hold it in place, and it'll hold the vehicle up. And this is a 3-ton aluminum jack stand, so it's more than enough to lift just a corner of the vehicle. Again, you can get that on the control arm, just behind the wheel, or if you have those lifting pucks and that lifting point underneath the vehicle, just place it underneath there. Just make sure, again, you're on a flat surface. Maybe you want to use like a board or something flat that you can use underneath that, so it doesn't tilt over. But yeah, that's basically how I lift the vehicle with the high lift jack. All All right, so here's the traction boards. I'm kind of fiddling around with a couple different ways of mounting it. This is what I have at the moment. Now these aren't max tracks. These are similar to an X-Bull. I think they're the 48-inch traction boards. And the nice thing they have is they don't have the holes on the ends like the max tracks do. They have the holes here up front, and then somewhere in about 3/4 of the way into it. And there's actually one on each side. The light and the shadow there. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I have that 1/2-inch carriage bolts that perfectly slide into the crossbars, and then I have these wing nuts, right, and to keep them in place. If you tighten them down enough, you don't have to get them tight, but just enough that they start pegging on here, and now they won't rotate on their own. So I don't have to worry about them coming, backing out and then loosening up and losing these traction boards during a trip. In the back, unfortunately, so the length of this, these holes don't line up with the crossbars. So I played around with different options how I want to do this, and what I've done is I have this rock straps that are elastic going in. They can hold, I think it was like 120 pounds or something like that, or 60 pounds, I can't remember. This one's the 40-inch version, and I have it tied to the crossbars. I'm using this. I don't remember the brand of this, but I'll put the link down below. Actually, it's Yak Attack, kind of an interesting name. So let me show you how they look like. Now these are the Yak Attack. They got a couple different ones. I opted one that has straight, and you can put straps on it. And essentially what it is you have this piece that slides into the T-rack, to the slot there, cut in the shadow, and then you just tighten it up, loosen it and tighten it up. And it stays on pretty good, and I like that it's kind of a low profile. So you can kind of put this on either side of the traction boards or something that you're trying to tie down on the crossbars, and they work really well. Again, I'll put this link in the description, or I'll put the link of this item in the description. That way you guys can find it and get it for yourself. Pretty cool. All right, so that was pretty interesting. Let's hit the next question.
JS asks, what do you do in lieu of not buying a spare tire?
Spare tire is super important, and I actually do have a spare tire. But for those of you who don't have a spare tire, try to get one. I know that Rivian gear will be releasing some soon. I don't know when, but you'll be able to buy a spare tire for the Rivian Gear website. In lieu of that, get your tire patches if you're on the pinch. You can also use, I've seen a sidewall patch. I'll leave a link down in the description below so you get access to it. Now, a sidewall patch is not a permanent solution, nor really be a really good temporary solution, but it's something that's going to get you out of the trail, out of that predicament, if you so need to. Get you to a place where you can either pull over, change to another spare tire if somebody else has one, that's running into the trails with you, or get to a repair shop and have that tire replaced. Next question.
A Champion 723 asks, how are you charging up on the trail? I'm really looking at going EV next.
Charging up on the trail. So the biggest argument in the automotive community right now is the infrastructure is not there. And yes, you're right. To a certain point, the infrastructure is not there. If you use like PlugShare, an app or on a website, it actually shows you where all the chargers are at on the roads, and actually not just a supercharge or the fast chargers, such as the DC fast chargers, but also chargers that people own privately and they're willing to share, or RV parks. So if you look at a map, you'll notice that especially where I travel at here in California, there are plenty of it. As soon as you start getting the outskirts of California, it starts to get a little bit more scarce. So one thing you want to use the PlugShare and route your destinations and look for chargers that are within your vicinity and figure out what your range is going to be. I like to do that and put that on my Gaia GPS and just kind of save those spots. Now I know Rivian has announced that they're starting their network charging. They got Bishop going in Kern, a couple places in Colorado, so that's really exciting, and I hope that they continue that progress. It's gonna be really cool, so I can get out to remote places. They're a little bit harder to get for me, like right now, like Death Valley, for example, right? So we gotta plan it out pretty carefully. But other than that, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, if you go out in an ICE vehicle, you gotta look for gas stations too, so that's just the nature of it, if you will. Next question.
Brett Seal asked, what tent setup are you using and how does it work with the Rivian crossbars?
So I mean, the Rivian crossbars, they work just like any other crossbars you see in the market, right? The only difference is the Rivian crossbars are a little bit wider than traditional. I've seen some crossbars range between 2 to 3 inches, but Rivian can get pretty close to 4 inches. So you want to make sure that whatever hardware you're using for your tent, the hardware is wide enough to get around those crossbars. Now, I personally use something completely different. I was using the brackets that came with the tent, but I have risers. The risers are from they're from Victory 4x4. This is another company that I have used before in the past. They make some excellent risers for rooftop tents to give it about 3 inches. The idea of using those risers for me was to get the tent as high as I can without going past the cap. Remember, we tried to reduce the drag. So I have headroom to make headroom for the annex room whenever I want to use it. Let's see here. So I've seen the iCamper. You've probably seen that in my previous videos. Their locking mechanism, if you will, for their rooftop tents, it's a little bit unique. Clamps around on the sides of the crossbars. I've seen those work pretty well on the Rivian crossbars. Yakima, which is actually the manufacturer of those crossbars, they have their own proprietary locking system. It's a little bit tricky to get it around it for the Skyrise, but I've seen Rivians with it, so they've been able to make it work. But then you have the traditional bar with the 2 bolts that come down through the channels from like Tough Stuff, which is what I use, or Smitty Build. I mean, a lot of those rooftop tents use around the same hardware, so it's doable. Just keep in mind how wide those crossbars are. Next question.
Ralph Hoover asks, does it fit in the garage?
Does it fit in the garage? That's a yes and no question. Obviously, I'm in the garage, but I have so much gear and workbenches in my garage that I don't generally park my R1 in there. I have a table that sits in the back that takes about 3 feet of room. So if I didn't have that table, I can definitely fit it in the garage. Also, my garage door is a little bit lower. I have this large support beam to support the second story for this house. So it pushes the garage door lower than normal. So to get the vehicle in the garage, especially when I want to load up the tent, I have to lower the right height of the vehicle, put the sport mode or conserve mode, and just change the height down. But generally, yes, you could fit an R1T in a garage, and if you can fit an R1T, you definitely can fit an R1S. Next question.
Anakin64 asks, why don't you make your own camp kitchen?
That is a really good question, and that's probably my favorite question. I think that's something that we're gonna have to look into. So I need a camp kitchen. I have a really nice one I want to share you guys in my 4Runner, and let's take a look at that and see what we can do. How we can spawn some ideas how we can implement that in the R1T. All right, so here we have the Lusa 4Runner. I have hiding out here in the street, but this is what I've been working on. It's kind of another side project, basically for, again, same things I've been using it for, the R1, camping, off-roading, overlanding, whatever you want to call it, whatever you name it. So here is the camp kitchen that I made. I made this at home. It's made out of plywood sheets, about 3/4. Some of it's 1/2 inch depending on what I'm using it for, and basically it's just to hold all the kitchen stuff that I have that I want to take with me, including on the fridge. The fridge light that I have in here is Abu Cab. That's what you call it. Is it Alu Cab or Abu Cab? I don't remember. I've had it for a while. It's kind of nice because it's a tilting. Get that tilting feature. Let me zoom out so you see it better. There you go. Kind of nice. Makes it easy to get to with the vehicle height. Having to reach up the top of the fridge, this kind of makes it look easier. Locks in place, not go anywhere. So basically what I have here is I've made this kind of modular so I can remove it from the vehicle. So that's one aspect that I would like to have on the R1T. I also have these tie downs, same ones that I have in the R1T in the bed. Probably don't need that, but we'll see what I have to accommodate. I'll probably use an L channel. We'll talk a little about that later. Let's see here. Can't go wrong with a beer opener, bottle opener. Let's see what I have in here. Let's see if I can get this open. There we go. Real quick. So I just have some supplies on here. Some wipes, batteries, flashlights, different stuff like that. Oop. There we go. And this side, folding table, more lights. I'll probably put some more kitchen stuff on here. So again, these drawers are completely removable, so it makes it easier. Let's get that closed. Yep, and then this one's the impressive one. This one pulls out. There you go. Have a little storage back here. Put some more cooking supplies here. This one opens up to show a countertop on top. Put my paper plates and utensils up in here. That's kind of nice. That folds down. And then this pulls out. You can have a gas stove in there. Pulls out a little more. Cutting board. This thing pulls out pretty far. It's kind of nice. And it holds the weight. It holds the weight. I mean, it moves up and down. It's got that leverage and everything. So what I usually do is I have like a stick here, a telescoping stick that I put on here to kind of help stabilize it and keep it propped up, so I can put the weight and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's kind of the idea that I had in mind. I'm not sure if I wanted a telescoping door system for the R1T, but I still want to place it in a gear tunnel, just like the way Rivian has theirs advertised. So one thing I like about the Rivian one is it fits perfectly in there. They did a great job of at least from what I can see, of making it. But I want one bi-directional, meaning I wanted it to be able to open up in the passenger side and open up in the driver's side. So I have a couple ideas on how I want to do that. I've already taken these panels apart. Probably when I do the video, I'll talk about how we're going to get that started. But these panels come off here. There's essentially some mounting locations that we can utilize. Probably use some extruded aluminum. There's a couple ideas that I have. There's a lot of space in there, that's for sure. We're going to try to maximize that storage space and see what we can cook up with. So yeah, we're gonna make a whole video about that, get the whole camp kitchen going. It's probably gonna take me a few months to get it down, but we'll do segmented videos so you guys can see the progress on that. Well, those are definitely great questions. I'm super excited to have this YouTube channel. I want to keep kind of making these kind of videos also, along with the other mini series that I have, and just answer questions you guys have. I get a bunch of them in my Facebook and Instagram accounts, and especially here in YouTube. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, I do my best to answer them in the chat. I also we're going to start making videos like this with my son and answer those questions. So please, again, feel free to leave a comment or questions down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you can get alerts on my next videos. Thank you very much. Have a great day.